Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy RB3 here for First Cut, and I'm here doing a new review for the new David Fincher movie, The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender. And yeah, I've been a big fan of David Fincher for a super long time. If you've been watching this channel, you know that The Social Network is absolutely one of my favorite movies of all time. Not to mention his everything else that he's done with Netflix, including, Mindhunter, which is one of my favorite shows. Please bring it back for season 3. House of Cards, and even Mank. Mank didn't get a lot of appreciation and love from a lot of Fincher fans and, a lot of people who expect the murder mystery side of Fincher to come out. But Mank really impressed me. I'm a big fan of old Hollywood. Seeing the screenplay that his father wrote to tell that story and Gary Oldman's performance, I thought was all amazing. Even during the pandemic, we at First Cut, we all took a little pilgrimage to a drive-in theater to see Mank in theaters while it was showing during the pandemic. So I've enjoyed a lot of his older work too, like Seven, Zodiac, and Fight Club, which, I know Fight Club kind of gets a bad rep now because of the reputation that a lot of his fans have had, but that's something that David Fincher has talked about on the press tour for this for The Killers, is how the edgelord culture has pretty much embraced Fight Club for the wrong reasons. They kind of read it as some sort of aggro F you to all society because they're kind of misunderstood. And really, I think they're kind of right about the movie, but I think they're kind of missing the deeper subtext about, Edward Norton's character basically is a young man dealing with homosexuality and grappling with his desires by materializing this imaginary Brad Pitt-like figure. So, if they really wanted to read it the way I think it was intended to be read it, at least the way I read it, that's, the way that Fincher was putting it out there. And on top of the anti-capitalist messaging that was in there, that kind of made it kind of punk rock in 90s, of course, too. But yeah, I think Fincher kind of rightfully says that, he's not responsible for what his fans interpret from his movies and how the cultural representation lives on beyond him as a director, because he made the movie. He's just representing who he was as a director at the time. So if all that anti-edgelord talk, I was kind of getting excited. I'm like, The Killer, this might be something different. This might be a deconstruction of the killer mythos, because you got to think about it. A lot of Fincher's movies take place from the perspective of the people investigating the murders, right? Like Zodiac, Seven, all that stuff, Mindhunters, investigating the murder. But we never really see too many of his films take place from the murderer's mind. So I think that was really what I was getting excited for, and how I was planning on deconstructing this like angry, aggro, aggressive white man mentality that we've seen in movies a lot recently. How is Fincher going to take his spin on it? And unfortunately, I probably got my hopes a little too high for that, if I'm being honest. Now, I do definitely will say I enjoyed The Killer. I thought it was an interesting film. I thought David Fincher's eye for perfection in terms of the acting, the choreography, the cinematography, the editing was pitch perfect as always in all of his movies. You just can't fault Fincher for his meticulous attention to detail eye, for just tracking every single detail that a killer might come across or might have obstacles with. I also think it's interesting that Michael Fassbender's character is not even the best kind of assassin either. Like he kind of messes up for like half or the majority of the movie, and it's kind of his journey of kind of like fumbling his way out of the accidents that he kind of puts himself in. The whole inciting incidents that he gets paid to do an assassination that kind of goes wrong. So he ends up being on the run. It kind of turns into a mixture of John Wick and that show You remember that Netflix show You, where it's like that assassin guy that it really started off on Lifetime. Honestly, it's a Netflix show now, but it's about that murderer guy who just talks a lot to himself in his head, has that heavy voiceover, and just plasts out the way he kills people. That's basically what this movie is. It's a big budget version of the You TV show, directed by David Fincher, and kind of with like this John Wick style revenge plot. But despite an occasional misstep or two, the main point of this movie is showing you the assassin's OCD level of attention to detail, right? Showing you how meticulous, how well crafted he is at his craft, and how when things go wrong, that kind of throws him off his playbook. He kind of really doesn't understand what's going on. And that's because it's all taking place from inside of his head, which is conveyed through a heavy use of voiceover mixed in with a lot of silence. Because as an assassin, you're not really supposed to make a lot of noise, right? As a dude who's sneaking around, he's really not making that much noise or conversing or dialoguing, besides with the people he's about to kill, right? And after a while, this film becomes a cycle of him finding somebody to kill, them begging for their life to some extent, or trying to fight their way through it, and him ultimately killing them anyway. So, yeah, I mean, did I think it was deep? Did I think it was heady? Did I think it was like game changing? Absolutely not. I thought it was a really finely tuned, well executed B movie. I thought it was a really high tuned, well done B movie. But it's not going to elevate anywhere past that for me because unfortunately it does still fall into the same tropes of like the impossible white man that we've seen in, movies like John Wick, that we've seen in movies like Liam Neeson movies that are just these older, they're not necessarily older, but yeah, kind of older, white guys who are just absolutely dominating any kind of action scene ever. Can win any fight, can outsmart any bad guy, can outshoot anybody because they're just impossibly smart and amazing and just incredible. And that's it, and because they're white. And that's why. And honestly, it's something that we've seen so much in movies lately. That it's like, this is really no different than any like superhero movie to me, which is why, I see a lot of film Twitter being like, Fincher really redefining the craft, really sticking up to the Marvel movies. Yeah, Marvel movies, they're trash compared to what Fincher's doing. I'm kind of looking at this like, this really ain't no different than what the rest of the landscape is. This really isn't that much different than a traditional impossible white man savior movie, a traditional almost like edgelord kind of movie. That's why I'm kind of confused when Fincher's kind of denouncing the edgelord mentality of Fight Club, because this movie is like an edgelord movie through and through. It's just about a silent antisocial killer who listens to the Smiths while he's doing these assassinations. Now, if you're looking for a deeper evaluation of this impossible white man trope, the excellent YouTuber FD Signifier does an amazing video essay breaking down that trope in much more significant detail than I'm doing right now. But just know that it's, again, it's something that we saw beginning in Die Hard with Bruce Willis. It's something that we see continuously throughout action cinema, The Matrix, John Wick, and etc. Nobody, like a bunch of movies you can think off the top of your head, movies that center around these white guys just doing amazing impossible things as if they are superheroes just without the powers. And it's like, yeah, this is just another one of those movies. And you could tell this is one of those movies because there's a scene that happens halfway through this movie where any other kind of skinny little white guy would have been snapped like a twig. It's this brutal fight scene that happens almost halfway through the movie. Michael Fassbender character, one of the people he's looking to get his revenge on, is this brooding, huge buff dude in Florida that is just hulking him out and just going molly-whopping him through and through. And he's hitting him so hard. I'm like, yo, fam, there's no way an average dude can survive this. But because he's the guy, he's the special guy, he just magically ends up beating this dude. It doesn't even take the interesting step of having this guy kill the dog. Like, we see this dude literally murder multiple people who are begging for their lives. Like, there's this one woman who's like super sympathetic, like, please, I know you make people disappear, you just, I just need this for my insurance, please, just don't, if you're gonna kill me, like, don't kill me too bad. And it's just like, yo, dog. And in that moment, thankfully, he does like honor her a little bit by killing her at least a little more humanely and a little bit more, in a way that could help her out and kind of answers her request. But he still brutally and coldly, kills her essentially. And he has no remorse for killing all these normal humans. He has no remorse for killing taxi drivers, except when there's a massive bully pit bull that just ends up busting through a glass door head first and is chasing Michael Fassbender. He'll shoot anybody but the dog, and he ends up burning up the whole house and leaves the dog alone. It's like, dog, this is like the most traditional Hollywood, like, okay, he's a bad guy, he's cold, he's conniving, but he's not the worst because he's not going to hurt an animal. And again, it's just something that we've seen 100 times over and over again. We've seen these antisocial, kind of cold, conniving characters, whether that's from the early films of like Don Siegel or Sam Peckinpah, or mix that with the cool, slick, can get out of any situation white guy that we start seeing in the 80s thanks to Bruce Willis and thanks to Die Hard. Then out of nowhere, that just became everybody, whether you're talking about John Wick or whether you're talking about the Taken dude or you're talking about anybody. It's just like, we've seen these characters, we've seen it so many times, and Fincher slightly elevates it by having really good shots and really good precision and really good editing in terms of the actual inside the scenes themselves. But then you're talking about the external, the full picture. Yeah, it just peters to the end. Like, I've actually never seen a David Fincher movie just kind of Peter and Neander and kind of just drag its way to the end like this. Like, I'm always expecting David Fincher film to move fast and incredibly sharp and razor thin, and which it does for the most part for like the first 2/3 of it. But then when it gets to the conversation with Tilda Swinton, it just dies. It dies for no reason. I mean, and I wasn't the only one who felt like it petered to the end too. Like when I saw it in theaters, there was a lot of people who were kind of like dozing off by like the last like 30-40 minutes. Like the people were kind of over it at some point. Again, it's like trying to get fake deep about a subject that we've gotten fake deep about for a long time, with between Joker, between, you know, all these kings of comedy. Again, it's like edgelord, how can we think about death? How can we justify killing? How can we do all this? But it's just like, nah, we've seen it. And it's even, I would argue, less complex than things we've seen from Fincher's past, whether you're talking about Gone Girl, Social Network, Zodiac, or Seven, or Fight Club. Like, I just feel like this just doesn't get as deep as those movies do. And it's no fault to Fincher himself. I mean, he does the best to make the material as livable and as breathable as he can through his flawless, you know, precision shots and timing with, you know, people grabbing things. Again, it's all great on that level. But where's the heart? Where's the story? Where's the script? Where's the change? Where's the motivation? Where's the originality? I just saw this movie. I've seen this movie. I feel like I saw this movie 3 times this year. I feel like I saw John Wick 3. I feel like I saw Saw X, or whatever the new Saw movie was. I feel like I saw this. And I feel like all 3 of them are the exact same extensions of each other. And I appreciate, you know, that we have a great filmmaker and he's making another film with the unlimited budget that he has. But give me something better next time. And I really do think this was good. I enjoyed it. But it's also the most Netflixy movie that I've ever seen. Again, it's like You. It's just that TV show You that Netflix does, put on to a big budget format, with complete with the narration, complete with the voiceover, just with a better actor, better shots, better cinematography, and higher budgets, and a lot more stuntmen. Like, there's so many times, again, precision direction. David Fincher's a master at hiding it, but man, you could kind of tell, like, you know, Michael Fassbender can't be doing all these fight scenes, because if one person's doing all these fight scenes, they would get whooped, they would get mollywopped. And you can see in the credits, there's like 12 different stunt people for Michael Fassbender in this movie. Also, the Netflixy part of it, that intro, right? I mean, Fincher is famous for his amazing, gorgeous, beautiful intros. This one felt like the most Netflixy skip credit sequence I've ever seen. Like, it was just literally started and it was over in like 60 seconds, and it had almost no intro, no story. It was just literally just flashing title cards. So I don't know what was up with that either. Also, to mention, if you go through this whole journey and we go through everything, and basically he comes up to the guy who admits that he sets up the whole thing, the client, when we go to Chicago, right? And he just lets him off the hook after killing the lonely taxi driver, after killing, you know, it's like, what was the change? What was the message? It just didn't work. It didn't really work for me as heavy. The score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross was absolutely cool. Like, when the fight scenes got started, you heard that little quiet, like, I thought that was amazing as well. Overall, I would say The Killer is like a strong 6.5 out of 10. It's not the most special movie ever made, but it's a cool Netflix watch. It's just not the best David Fincher movie, or it's not like, it's probably in the same tier as like Panic Room, honestly. But that being said, y'all, let me know what y'all thought of The Killers The Killer in the comments down below. Tilda Swinton, Charles Parnell. He's been in a lot of good stuff lately. Yeah, some interesting stuff going on here, man. And, you know, speaking again on Fincher and on The Social Network being one of my favorite movies of all time, we actually did an exclusive Patreon commentary way back during the pandemic for The Social Network, me, Sabrina, and Andres. So I'm actually using this video to kind of lead us directly into the premiere of that of the Social Network commentary. So stick around. If you're watching this live on the premiere, it'll go straight to the commentary. If you're not watching this live, you'll find the commentary here on the First Cut YouTube channel. It'll probably be pinned to the thing, so make sure y'all check that out. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, if you're watching this on Thanksgiving. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in to the First Cut. Subscribe if you haven't already, and follow us on First Cut at First Cut TMO on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. You can follow me at Director RB3, and check out the Real Ones podcast too while you're at it. With that being said, I'm RB3, y'all. Peace.
Only one can remain. It's either me or you. Take you out the equation. It's either me